Hello everyone, I'm T.R. Fuentes McKenzie, and you're listening to the Edible Origins Podcast, where we explore the roots of our local food system and celebrate the farmers, ranchers, chefs, and communities that nourish us. Today I'm chatting with chef and restaurateur Ryan Tracy. Ryan, thank you for taking the time to chat with us. Can you tell the community a little bit about yourself?
Absolutely. My name's Ryan Tracy, as you said. Currently, I am the owner and operator of Dakota Craft Links, which is a artisan-style craft sausage company. I have three different parts of that business. I have a small eatery. I also sell sausage retail to consumers that wish to take it home. And I also sell wholesale and supply restaurants with various sausages.
Now, Ryan, we start every episode with a question, which is, what is your food origin story? What are your first memories of food?
Well, my first memory of food, I believe I was probably 3 or 4 years old and had recently moved to Louisiana. And I remember eating jalapeno cornbread for the first time on top of some collard greens. You crumble it up and put it on there and sop up the juice. And that's probably, I remember tasting that and never having tasted that before and thinking that was just good stuff.
So where were you at? Describe the scene.
I was at a small restaurant called a Cock in the Walk.
Okay.
And it was outside of Lake Charles, Louisiana, just outside, kind of in the country. Kind of a kitschy, tourist trappy looking place, I guess. Now that I think back on it, I thought it was cool when I was a kid, but you walked over this bridge over like a duck pond and went into this place, and all the waiters and waitresses were dressed like old school Cajun people with the red sash around their waist and the pirogue hats on and whatnot. And I remember it stood out because they brought you cornbread to the table before you ever ordered, and they brought it out in a cast iron skillet and they'd flip it up in the air and catch it. I remember that. And I was there with my family, didn't think much of it. I'd never really had that kind of food before, obviously. And started eating the cornbread with butter on it, and my mom didn't want me to eat it because it had jalapenos in it, but I was good with it. I liked the jalapeno cornbread. And then the meal came out, and I remember just getting it served to me like my parents were dishing it up because I was a small child, obviously. And I remember the server instructing me specifically to crush the cornbread on top of my collard greens to get the liquor,
Yes.
and trying it. And I remember my dad do you like it? Do you like it? All concerned. And I did, and I ate it. I ate that and some shrimp creole, and but I remember the cornbread specifically.
Okay. So how do you transition then to, I remember you telling me a story of kind of how you got into the restaurant business.
Yeah.
One of the reasons you got into it because you were allowed to smoke cigarettes.
Well, no, that's okay. So you got it a little twisted.
Okay, tell me.
Moved to New Orleans in 1989-ish. There was a huge population boom down there because of the oil industry. And so the public schools got overcrowded because it went from like 400,000 people in New Orleans to like 1.2 million in like 6 months.
Oh, wow.
Okay. So a lot of people were moving down there, working class folks with families, right? And the public school system got overcrowded, and they went to a half-day schedule, and then once you got to like 7th, 8th grade, then you did the other half of the day work study. And so there was, my friends, one of his uncles owned a body shop where you like painted cars and whatnot. He was willing to hire all of us because they got subsidized by the state, right? Or the city, the parish. And you could smoke cigarettes there. And that's really why I wanted to do that. Then they unbeknownst to me, the school sent a mailer home with all the places that were represented. And my dad, who was a corporate recruiter at the time, saw Commander's Palace on there, which is a very highly regarded restaurant down there. You actually got ACF certification. It was an ACF certified, ACF American Culinary Federation, nationally recognized thing that gave you an apprenticeship certificate for completing it. And he was like, well, you're going to do this. This is like the only one.
How old are you? How old are you?
Right now?
No.
Then.
No,
Oh,
then.
oh, I was 13, I think. Yeah, somewhere around there. And, you know, he was like, well, yeah, you could get a job out of this, you could whatever. So I was like, all right, whatever. I'm busted. I'm not going to be able to go and work at the body shop. All my other friends did. But I went there and worked under Chef Jamie Shannon. Basically, they just put you through like an externship program, like they had for culinary school grads back then. And they put you through that, you know, kind of put the kid gloves on, but taught you the basics. You know, you did soup, stocks, and sauces, knife skills, all that stuff. And then Jamie Shannon, who was executive chef, I kind of liked him. And he kind of liked me, and you know, I just took to it, paid attention, did the work, and then turned it into a job, of which I made a whopping $4.25 an hour after the internship was over. At the end of the school year, I actually got a job there as like a prep cook, busboy, dishes, whatever, just doing stuff after school.
So how long did you stay at the
Commander's Palace? I moved. I would have stayed there a long time. I really liked it there. I knew all the owners. It was a very family-run place, for as high level as it was, or is, and has been for years. I would have stayed there a long time, but I moved, unfortunately, like a little less than 2 years later. So, about 2 years, a little under 2 years.
And where did you end up, and did you still stay in restaurants at that time?
I did. I stayed in restaurants just because it was easy. I had experience, so you could get. So from there, I went to Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Not a great experience. From Alabama, I went to Destin, Florida. From Destin, Florida, I went to Charleston, South Carolina. Charleston, South Carolina, I went back to Iowa, which is where I was born. Okay. And then that's when I really started like line cooking again, right? Because I was very young, so I didn't really get to cook that much, even though I had experience cooking.
So which restaurants in Des Moines? Because I'm an Iowa boy too. I was born and raised in Sioux City.
Not Des Moines, Mason City.
Oh, Mason City. Okay.
Mason City. Family's in Des Moines. Mason City is where I lived.
Got it.
Prime and Wine was the name of the restaurant.
Okay.
It's a weird town. Mason City has about 30 to 40,000 people. I'm not sure how much it has now, but it had about 30 to 40,000 people, and the restaurant scene was dominated by two Greek families, and they were both steakhouses. So the Prime and Wine was a steakhouse, and the other one was called the Northwest Steakhouse, and it was two different Greek families that knew each other from back in the old country, and somehow there's a lot of Greek folks in Mason City for whatever reason. I don't know why. But.
Right. Flash forward.
Yeah.
How do you end up in Sioux Falls, South Dakota?
Moved here for my senior year of high school back in 1996. I only needed about a credit and a half to graduate high school. So found a job at a place, well, a lot of Sioux Falls people probably remember it, called the Ground Round.
Okay.
I don't know if there's a lot of them left, but I know there's some left. But at the time, the Ground Round was like a fast casual place, you know, typical 90s restaurant, like, you know, kind of like a restaurant that was in the movie Waiting, but it was a scratch kitchen, like when I was there. Worked there for a while, never really had any intention of like staying in the industry, even though I'd done it for a long time. But worked there, and then it changed, and eventually got a job. I think I opened up Spezia when it first opened, and continued with that. Went to Italy, did another 9-month apprenticeship overseas there, and it was there that I kind of said, all right, you know, I'm gonna go ahead and just do this and go full in.
Talk a little about Italy. Which restaurant? Which chef?
Well, I was with a lot of chefs. It was so my dad was working for Brown Institute in Minneapolis at the time, and they had the Le Cordon Bleu back when Le Cordon Bleu was still kind of a major thing. And he spoke to the executive chef, the dean of admissions for the culinary school, who's actually still around. He was like one of the only Italian-born certified master chefs at the time. My dad spoke with him and said, hey, like, my kid doesn't want to go to culinary school. He's got too much experience, da-da-da-da. He suggested, well, why don't you do an overseas apprenticeship? Turned out that working all through high school, the rule in my household was that you had to give 15% of your check to my father, and then he put it in a savings account for you, and he kept the numbers, and then when you graduated, he'd give that to you, right? Well, he took about $13,000 and went ahead and took my money and said, "You're going on an apprenticeship," on the fact that basically I was just a dumbass, like 18-year-old kid that was like living at home and like working 32 hours a week at these restaurants and going out and partying every night, coming home God knows when, and didn't really have any intention of going to college, didn't really have any intention of going to culinary school, none of that. I just kind of was living, and that doesn't fly in my household. So I went there and, you know, got to start in Piedmont and went all the way through, really went Piedmont, Milan, Venice, Rome, Assisi, Modena, Naples, Sorrento, and then finished up in Palermo, Sicily.
Okay, so you're probably one of the only chefs in Sioux Falls that went on an overseas internship like this. Is that something that you would recommend for young chefs?
Yeah. I mean, anymore nowadays is a little bit more complicated than it was then. I mean, you just basically got to work visa and everything was kind of included in this deal. It also helped that I knew, like, my connection was like a certified master chef, I think, because I essentially had two guides that were like with me and working with me, staging at these restaurants, and that's like their job. That's what they did. They would like take people on food tours, whatever. Massimo and Rinaldo. Rinaldo was in the south, and Massimo stayed with me till I hit Naples. Rinaldo and I got along a little bit better than Massimo and I. Rinaldo was a bit of a partier, and the drinking age in Italy was 16 at the time. So
you had a good time.
I was hanging. Yeah, I was hanging. Yeah. And
So-
it turned out they really loved American rap music at the time.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you get back from Italy.
Yeah.
More restaurants. No?
Yeah, I did. Met a girl.
Okay.
I was about 19 and had a child at 20 and then a second child before I was 21. So that kind of changed the scope of how my life went at that point in time, you know. And stayed at restaurants, yeah, absolutely. Ended up taking a solid job, like a steady Eddie kind of job at a Vera McKinnon hospital, and worked there for 5 years under a really good chef who was a CIA grad. I still know him today. He's my U.S. Foods rep, Paul Lutman. Worked under him and really learned a lot, like refined everything that I already had in my head. I essentially produced food. The Orthopedic Institute was being built at that point in time, so there was a ton of interdepartmental catering. He put me in charge of that, so that's really what I did on a daily basis. I was essentially a banquet chef. Right, yeah.
And you know, moving forward into the future, how folks got to know you is you eventually got your own restaurant.
Well, there's a lot of stuff that happened before that.
Tell us.
So when I was 22, Westford Ho Country Club got a hold of me. The general manager there was Ted Thie. Got a hold of me because a guy that I had worked for previously was the food and beverage director there. The whole plan was they were going to he was going to be leaving. Ted Thie had been there for like 27 years, something ungodly like that. He brought me in and said, look, we're going to bring you in as a sous chef. I'm going to be leaving. The executive chef is going to be moving on. We want you to kind of take the food program into the 21st century. And when I got there, the food was very 1975, right? Country club food. I took the executive chef job at 23, and that's when people started getting to know me, I would say. Yeah. And then after that, I was there for about 5 years, I'd say. Yeah, right around there. I don't know. I'm old now. I don't remember. But eventually went to opened up Parker's Bistro, and that was downtown. In between that time, I worked for Tina Kuhn at Tina's Cafe, and she then sold the restaurant subsequently to someone, worked for her. So I worked in that building, the 334 building, for a long time on Phillips. Opened up Parker's and kind of took that one where it went, and then the building at 334 opened up, and then that's where I bought my first restaurant.
And tell me about the first restaurant.
First restaurant was opened in 2009. I named it Bros Brasserie Americano. Basically just took a small little restaurant of a building that I had kind of an affinity with. Like I really liked that building. I liked the vibe that it gave. A very casual atmosphere. That's always been my jam. I don't want people to feel like they need to dress up to come to eat good food. Sold that eventually in 2019. New Year's Day, actually, 2019. Closed on the deal and sold it to Fuentes downtown. And then I moseyed my way down to the Jones building because I had a previous relationship with Sheila, the building owner, and opened a craft sausage spot. That's what I did.
What made you decide that sausages was the jam?
Always liked making sausages. I liked doing anything that's like labor intensive and like long, slow, and dumb. I like those things. Anything that has to do with preservation, anything that has a lot of technique, a lot of like old school stuff, I'm into it. So I've always liked making sausage. So I saw a void in the market and knew that I had clients lined up and did it, pulled the trigger.
And just my own personal opinion, I think that void is quite big in Sioux Falls community. If you love sausage, I would say as a chef, my own personal opinion here, you're not going to find a better sausage within a 300-mile radius.
Thank you very much.
It's
Appreciate
fantastic. And luckily, too, I get to work in the Jones building, so I always get to get samples and try out the new product and all that. I'm quite lucky about that. So August 31st, you and I are going to be doing a dinner here in the Jones building.
It's going to be epic.
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 Can you tell the community about this epic menu you got planned?
Well, I'm going to do, I like to do tastings, and so there's going to be a few tasting plates. We're going to try to highlight some local producers. We are going to highlight some local producers. Rabbit is definitely going to be on the menu. I think that everybody needs to learn to eat rabbit. It's very good for you. It tastes a lot like turkey, in my opinion. There's several parts to it, of which I can't wait to prepare for you. There is going to be a rabbit sausage. There's also going to be some great local mushrooms from Dan Rieslov, Dakota Microorganics, right?
Dakota Mushroom and Microgreens.
Yeah, there you go. Yep, we're going to do a tasting of that. We're going to have some locally foraged purslane. Well, it's not going to be foraged because my wife is growing it in the backyard, a whole bed of it. Some purslane. There's going to be some bison. We talked about that. Probably some an odd cut. Again, anything that takes a long time I'm into. We're going to use the neck, I believe, is what we're going to use. We're going to do that. We're going to probably have some local pork. Yeah, it's going to be great. It's going to be a good time. We're going to be cutting up and goofing off and having a great time.
Definitely some goofing off.
There's definitely going to be a
Chef
lot.
Ryan and I we're both born in '79. Great goofy year.
Yeah, goofy year. Super goofy.
So
Known
folks,
for its goofiness.
Chef Ryan's dinner is about halfway sold out too. So there's only about 10 tickets left for the August 31st event. So please get your tickets while you can. Chef Ryan, I just want to say thank you and appreciate you for taking the time to chat with me today.
Absolutely.
And we appreciate you listening to the Edible Origins podcast. Stay connected with us and join the conversation on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Share your thoughts, ask questions, and be part of our growing community. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss what's coming. Until next time.